Good morning. Most expected Prime Minister Narendra Modi to speak about China last night, but he chose to speak about Corona instead. That was a bit of a disappointment, but given how the infection levels are likely to treble over the next 30 days, the Prime Minister's warning was probably called for. His address, though, did seem a bit like it was addressed at the Bihar election, since we are barely in July and the Prime Minister was talking about Chhath Puja, which is in November. But the good thing is that the move to increase the scope of the rations for 80 crore people till the end of November is a great relief. This should cost, this should put about 50,000 crores or thereabouts in the hands of 80 crore people, which is a lot of money. The Prime Minister gave us a larger number, I think double this amount. It's not quite clear how he got it, but 50,000 crore rupees is also a lot of relief. It will also bring a lot of relief to the Food Corporation of India, since between July and November giving 5 kilos per person per month means about 20 million tons of food grain will get exhausted from FCI stocks of about 100 million tons right now. What remains a mystery though, and this is something which ICRIER professor and Financial Express columnist Ashok Gulati has been talking about for a long time. In fact, his latest piece says that the market value of just the excess stocks of FCI of around 50 to 55 million tons is at least rupees 150,000 crore. The problem that we've been seeing over the last 1 week or more of delaying Chinese imports continues to be a big one, and as we've reported in Financial Express, there's a little bit of relief, but that's only for a handful of producers there. So there are people like Apple or Samsung or some pharmaceutical firms are finding their import shipments getting cleared faster. And there is a stony silence from the Commerce Ministry, from other ministries in the government on what exactly is happening here. Frankly, that makes little sense because a lot of Indian firms and jobs are at stake. Indeed, as we've argued in our lead editorial today, the move to ban 59 popular Chinese apps is probably a much more effective way to send a message across to the Chinese government than either banning their imports or delaying them or raising import duties. In fact, we've got a nice graphic on page 1 which shows just how important India is to the Chinese app market. ByteDance, to give you one example, owns popular apps like TikTok and Hello, and ByteDance itself is estimated to be worth around 110 or so billion dollars. Now 30% of TikTok's traffic, or not traffic, but 30% of the users of TikTok come from India, and that's almost 100% in the case of Hello. Now I know there are lots of stories in newspapers which basically argue that the India revenues of some of these companies are a lot smaller than the share of Indian users. Now that's obviously true because India is a much poorer country, but let's keep in mind that one, valuations are based on the number of users. That's one very big metric as far as valuation is concerned. Secondly, with the passage of time, as Indians get richer, as the availability of broadband gets better, we're also finding that the revenue levels from the same subscribers will also increase quite dramatically. Of course, an important point that we make, an important caveat that we make in the editorial is that that while the move to ban the apps was a well thought one, because it will hurt the Chinese more than it will hurt Indian users, but you've got to make sure that this is very well calibrated. This cannot be allowed to get out of hand. If, for example, this anti-China sentiment, let's say, moves to companies like Paytm, where the Chinese are very big investors, what happens then? For one, there are tens of thousands of jobs that are at stake in these companies. More important, these companies have investors, other Indian investors, they have investors from other countries. SoftBank, for example, is a big investor in many of these apps. So if, for example, you send out the message that we're going to target companies where the Chinese have investments, you're sending out a message that any investment in India is a risky proposition, and that's not a message that you want to send out right now. There's some level of skepticism as to whether Indian apps can actually come and take the place of Chinese apps. Now some of this skepticism is probably justified because in the past Indian products have not done very well. But I think in the case of apps, it's a good idea to, apart from Aadhaar, to look at Indian apps like you look at UPI, look at DigiLocker, you look at the entire Aadhaar stack for that matter, and it becomes pretty clear that the Indian apps has a very, very good chance on this. The last word on this, of course, has to belong to Amul. If you just look at his latest ad right now on your screen. Amul always manages to get it absolutely right here. In another story, Hindustan Unilever chief has said that consumers in India are scared to spend money right now, underscoring just how tough it is going to be to revive the economy. That's also why, as we've said in the past, in fact, yesterday our editorial supported Rajiv Bajaj of Bajaj Auto against some politicians who wanted him to shut down his company because of the rising infections and deaths. The point that we made was that in case there's a lockdown, the government of India just simply doesn't have the money to be able to compensate people who lose their jobs. An interesting story here is while a lot of companies, a lot of film companies and producers are talking about OTT, Akshay Kumar's latest movie apparently is going to be released in the theatres. That of course is in November and it is to be hoped, unless there's a resurgence of the virus, that we will be able to go back to the theatres by then. So fingers crossed, let's look forward to a few months from now when hopefully we've seen the back of the coronavirus. Thank you, have a great day.